Been keeping something from you guys, and it's about time I came clean. In 2019, I built and released a product that has been not necessarily abandoned, but since not given the attention that it really needs. And that is, for me, because I lacked the discipline and motivation to do so. And when I talk about things like that on this channel, I very much talk about the fact that you need those things in order to succeed, and that's something that I haven't given this product. Now, I could blame many different reasons for that being the case, but ultimately it's down to myself. But it's not like it's a tiny app. There are around 4,500 people using it, but it's a free app. I make no money back from it. It's the ultimate in business losses right now, because it's not like it costs me no money to keep going. I pay a couple of $100s every single month to run this for nothing. And that doesn't seem like great business sense to me. In fact, it's the worst business sense, really, isn't it? But why am I sharing this with you now, and why should you care? And I wanted to be truly transparent, because I think following this journey, for me, it's facing the things that you want to improve in yourself. And that's something that you have to do in order to succeed. And so if you face the things that you are not very good at, your imperfections, then being transparent and open about those also gives me the accountability to make those changes. Like I said, in 2019, I built an app called Cheeses. It's a cheese app, as you could probably guess by the name, and it is like the Vivino for cheese. If you've ever used Vivino, if you haven't, you won't get that reference, but quite a few people probably will. The idea for me was to create something for cheese lovers. I live in France, as you probably might or might not know, and I eat a lot of cheese, funnily enough. And so I thought, how can I make something that's useful for people who love cheese? There are a lot of people that love cheese. Surely that's a market. Sure, definitely. I'm going to build something. So I built it. And I had this vision of building it, either having ads in there or having a way that I could use affiliate links in there. And I thought that would be a great business model. But ultimately that didn't transpire in that way. The ads were clunky. I didn't really like them. And it made the experience worse than it was. So I designed this out. I had it developed. And I got to the point where I thought, well, I'm going to take the ads out because I don't like the experience it gives for users. So then I was definitely generating no money other than the cents that I was making before that. And it got to the point where I wasn't spending the time and effort needed on it. I had big moments of pushes where I thought I could change something, but again, never followed it through completely, which is the worst thing that you can do with an idea, is just not fully see it through, because how do you know if it's going to work or not? You might learn some things along the way, which is great. And it's not to say that you should always follow things through if you get the signs that they're not the direction you should be going. But at the same time, follow through is incredibly important in these things, because otherwise, how are you going to know anything? In 2020, the world turned upside down, and mine definitely did. So again, that put a kind of stop to what I was doing on the project. But at the same time, it allowed me to see that there was definitely a need to try and bridge the gap between cheese producers and cheese lovers. So I thought maybe this is an avenue that I could explore too. But with the number of users I had, it just didn't make sense to create one of the hardest business models possible, being the multi-sided marketplace. You need both cheese lovers and cheese producers, and one without the other just doesn't work, and you need to incentivize the two to come together. So ultimately that died as well. And so the app really hasn't developed or got any better since its inception, and there are lots of things that could get better. But in the last week or so, I've had some real signs from the universe, believe that if you will, that this is something that I definitely need to push and pursue further. I've had feedback across Twitter, Reddit, and other platforms that have really shown me that I should probably push this more. But I need to do this in a way that's sustainable and actually gets to a point where it can cover its own costs at a bare minimum. But ultimately, I would love this to become a real money-making business for me. And this is where I think it's super important to listen to the signs and follow the things that are showing up for you. I wasn't outwardly trying to put a bigger push on cheeses this year, but certain things popped up, and I think I'd be stupid to ignore them. More so than ever these days, I like to listen to the things that I'm seeing in front of me and taking those routes. And it may seem like then I'm not creating the focus on other things, but that isn't true. It's listening to the things that I have in play, gathering the feedback, and understanding which of the things to push at which moments. And that's what I'm going to be doing. And so I've set myself some goals, and they're extremely big goals. I have around 4,500 users. I would like to get that to 100,000 users for Cheeses by the end of this year. Yes, I may fall short of that. I may absolutely decimate that number and hit 1 million, but I'm going to try and hit that number as much as I possibly can. And I also have the goal of making this a sustainable product. So instead of costing me money every single month, I would like to generate revenue at least enough to cover the costs of running this app. So how am I going to do that? As I mentioned, the app hasn't really had any development done since the inception. Some little updates, a few little branding things, but in terms of its feature and functionality and usability, it hasn't really changed, and there's a lot that can be made better to make it as useful as possible. This is where I've been trying to spend as much time in the last week or two, gathering as much feedback as possible to try and help me understand the key things that cheese lovers would want from an app. Now, this is what you call user research. This is the thing that you should do in product management. You should understand the real problem that you're trying to solve. And so this is where I'm trying to spend the time now to understand how I can provide that value, the education for cheese lovers, so that ultimately when they think about cheese, the first thing they do is pull cheeses out of their pocket. That's my goal anyway. It's the dream. In doing that, that will help me do a complete redesign of the app, which I've started now, as you can see here, and I have a lot more to do. I'm not a designer, I'm not an expert in this in any way, but I'm trying to make this as sustainable as possible, so I appreciate all feedback that I get. I'm just trying to do any design work I can to try and keep my costs down, because they're ever growing always. It's not good. And on top of the design, it's trying to again bring together the features versus the design as well, make it make sense, make it as useful as possible, trying to provide value to people so they want to download it and want to use it and keep using it. So how do I bring in features that not only do that, but that can also provide some level of revenue as well? So this is where I'm going to be going through some different ideas, different experiments to see exactly what people would want and how I could attempt to monetize that in certain ways. I'm looking at different options, from utilizing the user database for newsletters and sponsorship across that, different parts of the app to provide promotions to people. It could be like cheese subscription boxes, it could be events, it could be whatever. There's different parts of the app that I could utilize to try and do that, but that takes obviously quite a lot of outreach to people to be able to do that. So how am I going to, one, hit the target for my goal of users, and two, hit the target of my revenue generation as well? And so when it comes to the launch and how I think, or how I'm going to try and play this, it's all about my different channels. I have an okay size, around 1,000, 1,100 cheese lovers on TikTok. Check it out, it's there. I do lots of cheese stuff, but trying to be more consistent with that, trying to promote more on there, because there's a great opportunity there, and balancing that between when I've released and when I haven't, and giving them value in terms of cheese knowledge and getting something back. So it's a real balance between those different things on that, and also utilizing more across the likes of Twitter and Reddit as well. So I'm going to be trying to utilize not just the channels in creating stuff to post to them, but also looking at different ways that I can work with established influence in that space to create some level of buzz around this as well. I think that's the key part around this, trying to utilize other influence with a big audience and captivate on that. I think that's a key tactic I'm going to be utilizing here. So today is Friday the 19th of January, and I'm going to set myself here some strict timelines that I want to try and keep to. So by the end of January, I would like this to be ready to be redeveloped after a redesign. I want to make sure that I'm ready to actually launch this as soon as possible in the new version. That means I have only 10 days to attempt to completely redesign and do all of the user research needed to produce an app that's actually useful to people. So I'm going to have to be busy, and I'm saying that purely because I want to create that accountability for me, and I want to show you guys what is possible. And this is what I'd love to do more on this channel as well, trying to share my journey in all of this. I haven't stopped working on my no-code product, but at the same time I've had a lot more interest in the cheeses stuff in the last week, which has given me all I need to be able to push forward on that stuff and really see where this goes. I think I've got an opportunity there. It already exists. Yes, it's going to take some work, but there is potential product market fit that's been established there, and how can I capitalize on that? I definitely need to see where this goes. So I want you to be able to follow this journey of me taking a product that generates no revenue, has 4,500 users in January 2024, and this time next year I want to be telling you that it is the top food and drink app on the App Store with over 100,000 active users on the app, and it generates its own revenue. That is my goal, that is my target, and I will share the progress with you along the way to show you you that with grit and determination and a shitload of focus and Red Bull and coffee and everything that it's going to take, that this is 100% possible. I truly believe that it is possible, but it takes that determination. Nothing is easy. I could come out and show none of this work to you, and in a year's time just say, oh yeah, it was easy, I've just got this passive income created there, but that's not the reality. That's not the situation that anyone faces. All of this stuff is hard, and I could just not show any of it to you, the good and the bad, and I could then just show you the results and pretend that it was just an easy journey. And I think for a lot of the internet, that's what we see. We see the glamorized version of the results. We don't see what it takes to get there, the different changes in direction, the struggles, the failures, the lessons, whatever it might be. It's not glamorous, so people don't see it. But this is the reality of me and my life. The reality is that you've got to be able to switch up, pivot, but you have to be able to get down and do the work when it's needed. And that's my message to you guys and what it's going to take for me. I'm looking forward to sharing the journey. If you like cheese, obviously download Cheeses. It's only available on iOS at the moment because there's been an issue with me needing to update the app anyway on Android. Follow along the journey. Don't forget to subscribe. I know this is a slightly different video from my normal style, but again, I want to share my journey with you and exactly what it looks like, good and bad. Drop me a comment of anything that you're looking to build. I'd love to follow your journeys as well. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.